Peoples of the world, welcome back to the EDH Community Theater, highlighting real decks played by real players over on Discord and Spell Table. I'm Capital G, your presenter for today, and thank you to Chai Tea for this piece of spice. We've got Henzie, Toolbox Torre, Riveteer's Precon front-facing commander, but this is no Precon deck. The upgrades here are pretty sweet. Before we get into the list, however, there's my socials. Look for my personal tag on Discord. Look for all my shenanigans over on TikTok. The Discord groups I'm a part of, both the server of many things and Dungeons and Cardboard. These links are in the description below. And of course, if you like European style board games, Board Game Arena is the place to find me. Play things like Catan, Carcassonne, Welcome to, Automobiles, so many excellent games on that website. Free to join. Everything here is free to join and free to play, so be sure to do it. So let us talk about Chai Tea's Henzie deck. So Henzie, Toolbox Torre. This is Chai Tea's first Precon commander. It was the first Precon he ever bought. And I guess he was just kind of drawn into the potential, and I mean, look at this handsome devil, literal devil. Green, red, and black, 3/3 devil rogue. Each creature spell you cast with mana value 4 or greater has Blitz. Blitz being that you can cast the creature for a Blitz cost, and when that creature dies, you draw a card. But that creature will die at the end of your turn if it hasn't already, so yep, you have to sacrifice the creature you Blitz out. But you're casting creatures with haste and with a discount. Blitz costs costs 1 less for each time you cast your commander from the command zone in this game. So let's say you've cast Henzie once. All your other creatures can be blitzed out for whatever their mana value is, -1 generic. And if Henzie's cast the second time, the reduction is by 2, so on and so forth. Cool. What's also cool is this really, really old card from Stronghold. It's the first time I'm seeing it. It's called Mortuary. Black and 3. It says, whenever any creature is put into your graveyard from play, put that creature on top of your library. I can see why this card doesn't see a lot of play. Every time one of your creatures die, you time walk yourself basically by putting the creature right back on top. Unless you're drawing more cards than you have creatures dying, you're basically limiting how many cards you see each game. But in the case of Henzie, well, it cancels out because we blitz out a creature. When it dies, we can put the creature back on top of Mortuary, then draw it as a result of the blitz. So, when you stack it that way, and you're constantly getting that card back in your hand, no card disadvantage this way. In fact, if you're doing this with a mana dork that can tap for more mana than its mana value it currently is, for example, let's look at Elena Keswick Trapper. So, it says mana value of 5, but we're blitzing her out, so she's going to cost 4 mana or less, a red, and say 3 to blitz her out. With haste. She's a 4/3 with first strike, and it says tap, add an amount of red mana equal to the greatest power among creatures you control that enter the battlefield this turn. Let's say she's the only creature that ever enters the battlefield that turn. If she's coming out for 4 mana, tapping for 4 mana, you sack it, and you stack your Mortuary and your Blitz triggers to put her back on top of your library, then draw her back in your hand. Well, guess what? You can blitz her again and again and again and just cycle it over. So constantly coming into play and constantly dying. So as long as you have any sort of thing that pays it off, any sort of thing that says, hey, whenever your creature dies, your opponents lose life. Anytime your creature comes onto the battlefield, deal some damage. That sort of thing. That's what we're doing here. That's a great combo. So obviously we need sack outlets, so we'll go through our artifacts. We've got a few sack outlets, mana rocks, and some utility pieces. Altar Dementia, great sack outlet here. Of course, no mana to use this, and forces our opponents to mill out. So even if we don't have any other payoff, so long as our opponents aren't playing Eldrazi Titans, we can mill them out. Arcane Signet, of course. Ashnod's Altar, sack a creature for double colorless. Yes, please. Lightning Greaves. This is important, actually. I'm glad it's here. Because if we don't have our commander out, we can't blitz things out. There's still other ways that we can use lightning. We can still grant our creatures haste. We still have other ways of drawing cards and sacrificing creatures. So I'm glad Lightning Greaves is here for that free haste. It's actually more important than you realize. Phyrexian Altar, sack for a colored mana. Skull Clamp, Soul Ring. Swiftfoot Boots, again, gives the Hexproof and haste. This costs a mana to use, however, so not as effective as the Greaves for combo purposes, but I'm glad it's here. And Thought Vessel, we have no maximum hand size. We do have the potential of drawing a lot of cards here, so I'm glad that we have the option to keep everything. Other creatures of the deck include the Augur of Autumn. Lets us play lands off the top, eventually play creatures off the top of our library. Avatar of Growth, this is fun. Drop this thing and everybody gets 2 basics. Sure. Azusa lets us play more lands because, hey, we're going to need a few in order to get our combo going. Bane of Progress. Obviously, do not play this while your mortuary is on the battlefield. Just don't do it. But if your mortuary isn't on the battlefield yet, play it and wreck everyone's day. Beast Whisper. Whenever we cast a creature spell, draw a card. It's important to note, Blitz is an alternate casting cost for the creatures. Therefore, if you blitz out a creature, it will trigger the Beast Whisperer. We will draw the card. Blood Artist. Whenever another creature dies, target player loses a life and we gain a life. Hey, we've got our loop going. We're going to drain out the whole table. Disciple of Bolas. Great way to draw some cards in a hurry. Elves of Deep Shadow. Eternal Witness. A key piece ends up in our graveyard. This gives us the chance to get it back. Yoruk's Pack Leader. Whenever another creature of power 3 or greater enters the battlefield under our control, we may draw a card. I like the fact that this is a may, so we don't have to draw ourselves out by accident with this. Grim Harrowspecs. Whenever another non-token creature we control dies, draw a card. Thank you. Indrik Stomp Howler. Big, beefy thing that we can swing with. It sacks itself off to draw us a card thanks to the Blitz. And it destroys an artifact or an enchantment on ETB. All things we like. Karametra's Acolyte. This is another one of those mana dorks that can tap for more mana than its mana value is. So we can get our loop going with this card. Corvold, Broken King. Very broken card. I prefer to see it in the 99 over the command zone because at least we can, path to exile this thing and it's gone for good. Still, an excellent add to this list. It makes perfect sense to me to have it here. Masked Vandal lets us exile an artifact or enchantment opponent controls. Rest in Peace is our bane. We don't want to rest in peace on the battlefield, so it's great to have the extra enchantment and artifact removal. Mayhem Devil. Whenever a player sacks a permanent, we deal 1 damage to any target. Yes, please. Midnight Reaper. Whenever a creature we control dies, we take damage and draw a card. Morbid Opportunist. Creature dies, we draw a card. Happens only once each turn, but even then, if this sits and then everybody has a creature die, well, guess what? We draw 4 cards per turn cycle. I like it. Ogre Slumlord. Whenever one of our creatures die, we may get a rat. And by may, as in we're gonna get a rat. And rats we control have Death Touch? Yes, please. A Pitiless Plunderer. Whenever one of our creatures die, we get some treasure. Plaguecrafter. Force everyone to sacrifice creatures or planeswalkers, or perhaps discard cards if they haven't committed anything to the board yet. Protean Hulk. Combo-tastic piece here, obviously. Lets us go get one of our mana dorks. Also lets us go get our Blood Artist. So we could easily go get some combo pieces with this. We can go get a sack outlet with Viscera Seer. Fantastic stuff. That's right, Viscera Seer is in the deck. Reassembling Skeleton. Selvala, Heart of the Wilds, one of the superpower mana dorks. We've got Squeedy Immortal. I think this is just fun. Thermopod, sacrifice a creature, add a red to our mana pool. Yes, please. And the last creature is World Shaper, which when this attacks, we build 3 cards. And when this dies, we get all our land cards from our graveyard back onto the battlefield. Other enchantments in the deck include Decaying Soil. This is sort of our second copy of Mortuary. It says at the beginning of your upkeep, remove a card in your graveyard from the game. So we're not casting this until we have 7 cards in our graveyard, because we need Threshold for this to actually do anything. Threshold being 7 or more cards in our graveyard. And the triggered ability is whenever a non-token creature is put into our graveyard from play, we may pay a generic mana to return that card to our hand. So, a fantastic alternate to Mortuary. Glad it's here. Dictative Erebos, whenever a creature we control dies, all our opponents have a creature die. Yes. Elemental Bond lets us draw some cards. Goblin Bombardment, another excellent sack outlet that progresses the game plan. Greater Good, sack creatures to draw cards, yes please. Holistic Wisdom. Great piece of recursion here. We don't see this too often in our format, but it's been getting a little more buzz. I'm pretty sure Demo has had a big part in this. Green, and 1 for this enchantment. It's pay 2, remove a card in our hand from the game to return a card from our graveyard to our hand if it shares a type. So if our Mortuary is in our graveyard for whatever reason, we can exile an enchantment from our hand to get it back. That's kind of the plan with this thing. Impact Tremors. Creature enters the battlefield, deal 1 damage to each opponent. Yes, please. Kenriff's Transformation. Turn a creature into an elk. Sure, I like it. And Phyrexian Reclamation. 2 mana, 2 life, get a creature back from our graveyard to our hand. Fantastic stuff there. Instants and sorceries. Let's look at Abrupt Decay. Lets us destroy any non-land permanent with mana value 3 or less. Our favorite target, of course, is Rest in Peace, or anything that could exile our graveyard. Because we don't want our stuff being exiled before we have a chance to bring it back with Mortuary. Beast Within. Heroic Intervention to protect our board. Malakir Rebirth. This MDFC can be used to protect one of our creatures on board, or it could be played as a land, Malakir Mire. It's fun to have. The Zendikar MDFCs are fantastic. Nature's Claim, of course, for a single green, destroy an artifact or enchantment. Its controller gains 4 life. And Terminate. I don't have a card with text here on screen, but it's destroy target creature. It cannot be regenerated. For 2 mana at instant speed. Love it. Over to our sorceries with Balaget Recovery. Again, lets us get something back from our graveyard to our hand. Alternatively, we could always play it as a land, in this case, Galabet Sanctuary. Blackstone Zenith. Proven board wipe, black X to -X the board, and it shuffles right back into our library. Pretty sweet. Blasphemous Act. 1 red, deal 13 damage to the board. Very few things, if any, survive this. Cultivate lets us go get our basics. Explore lets us play an additional land and draws us a card. Farseek lets us go get a Plains, Island, Swamp, or Mountain card. Put it onto the battlefield tapped. It doesn't say basic, so we can pull out some pretty cool lands with this. Grim Tutor, go get whatever card we want. Illicit Shipment. Great ad here. I'm a huge fan of this. So black, and 3. Search your library for a card, put it into our hand, then shuffle. 5 mana for a tutor doesn't sound so great, but that casualty 3 makes all the difference. We can sacrifice a creature of power 3 or greater to copy the spell. So all of a sudden this becomes 5 mana, go get our 2 best cards. That is worth the rate. Jessica as well. Lots of mana, lots of card draw, lots of value. Kadama's Reach. Go get more basics. Natural Order. So for 4 mana at sorcery speed and as an additional cost, you have to sacrifice a green creature, but we go get a green creature. So we can sack an Elves of Deep Shadow to go get our Protean Hulk, for example, and go nuts from there. Nature's Lore lets us go get a quote-unquote forest card. And Rapid Growth lets us go get a basic. No Planeswalkers in this particular build, so let's look at the rest of the lands. We have 32 lands in addition to our MDFCs. So Ash Barrens, of course, we can cycle away for a basic. The Command Tower. Cragtown Pathway, which can be played on the other side as Timber Crown Pathway. Dragon Skull Summit. Evolving Wilds lets us fetch our basic. Exotic Orchard. We're running 3-color decks, so it's very likely this will tap for at least 1, if not all 3 of our colors. depending on what our opponents are running. 4 Boating Ruins, 6 Forests, 8 Guildless Commons, 2 Mountains, Myriad Landscape, a Path of Ancestry, taps for all our colors. We don't have much in the way of Devil or Rogue synergies here, but that's okay. It still gets us the occasional scry. Reliquary Tower, Riveteer's Outlook, Rockfall Vale, Savage Lands, Shadowblood Ridge, Stomping Ground, one of the many forests we can fetch with some of our cards, 4 Swamps, a Temple of Malady, the Scry, Terramorphic Expanse, Twilight Mire, and Torre's Proving Ground. Pretty straightforward list. Great job, Chai. He did ask for a little bit of extra coaching, so he wanted some suggestions for the deck, and I've got a few I want to put in here. I guess one, because there's a lot of artifacts with the activated ability of, sack this, exile all graveyards, what have you. So because some of these tools have a threat of activation, Potion Grip eliminates that threat. It also busts up auto combos if they happen. So yes, 3 mana to just get an artifact or enchantment is a little pricey these days. And there's definitely arguments about whether or not Split Second is relevant. But if it's the difference between having your cards in your graveyard when you need them or not, the Split Second is going to matter. So that's my first suggestion. There's a lot of things that can draw more cards than we need, so I'm going to suggest a Claws of Gix. It's a 0 mana artifact, it's pay 1, sack a permanent, we gain 1 life, so it gives us another sack outlet we could use anyways, but this lets us also sack our, say, Elemental Bond if we're drawing cards faster than we are draining our opponents. Because that's the worst, is we start draining out our opponents, but let's say they're a life gain deck, they've already reached like 200 life. Well, we do risk drawing out before we can drain them out, so Claws of Gix will solve that problem. So that's a very minor weakness. I don't insist on rushing out and buying one of these, but this is definitely something to think about. There are some creatures that hate on graveyards, so a Ravenous Chupacabra feels like it's a pretty good fit. We can blitz it out, destroy a creature. If this dies, we get to draw the card. So I see this as a pretty decent fit. We're already running Natural Order. I'm surprised we're not running Eldritch Evolution as a second copy. And we do have a couple of creatures that are high enough mana value that we can cast this, sack the more expensive creature, and go get our Protean Hulk and combo off from there. So I think Eldritch Evolution could be good here. And the last major card I want to suggest is one of those Mana Dorks. And this is fantastic stuff. How's this for spice? The Undermountain Adventurer. So it's 4 mana for this giant warrior, 3/4 with vigilance. When this enters the battlefield, we take the initiative. A friendly reminder that when we take the initiative, it works a lot like Monarch in that someone can deal combat damage to us and take it from us. However, the idea here is we're going to loop it, because obviously we're going to blitz this out. Blitz is very, very cheap. It taps for 2 green mana by default. If we've completed a dungeon, it taps for 6 green mana. So as long as we have enough mana, as long as we've cast our commander twice, we should be able to loop this infinitely, no problem, with our commander and with Mortuary. And every time this comes into play, we take the initiative again. And that is, here's the initiative card, just a friendly reminder that you can take the initiative even if you already have it. And each time you do, you go another room further into the dungeon. The only dungeon we can enter this way, of course, is Undercity. But hey, let's go get a basic, let's us forage, trap, target player loses 5 life. So if we're going to be cycling this way and only every... You figure like 1 time in 5 we're going to be drawing an extra card out of it. So that way we don't... we should be draining for 5 at a time without milling ourselves. Such is the theory here. And if you want the infinite mana instead, you can always go the other way, go through Stash and create an infinite number of skeletons with Menace. So that's another way to go as well. So both options are there. And Throne of the Dead 3 is just a way to put down some powerhouse things, especially if we, we're looking through 10 cards at a time, and we find our Protean Hulk, and we get to sacrifice that and combo off. So the way I look at it, Underbound Adventure is sort of the one card like combo piece and payoff all in one, because it pays itself off with that Mortuary and Henzie loop. So I definitely recommend this card. Dirt cheap, by the way. Alright, so on that note, Chai, thank you for sharing this. This was Chai's first Precon Commander. And what he's done with it has been pretty cute, pretty amazing, and I am a fan. And on that note, I'm going to get going here. Hope you all enjoying the Dominaria United spoilers, by the way. We're getting some interesting stuff, and I'm looking forward to bringing those cards. So there's my channel. Like and subscribe if you enjoy what we're doing, and we'll see some new deck techs from Dominaria United soon. Also, some of my older videos are here as well. We'll catch you all next time. Bye for now.